Hello everyone, myself Pritesh Singh Patel, Civil Department from Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technical Education and Research Center, Navsari. Today I am going to teach you building construction technology which offer for the second year student and the subject code is 3130607. In this subject there are 6 modules in module 1 subsurface investigation, shallow foundation, deep foundation cation. In module 2 stone masonry, brick masonry, lintel and arches, wall finishes. In module 3 plain and reinforced concrete construction formwork. In module 4 flooring, doors, window, roofs and roof covering. In module 5 special work, special treatment. Module 6 green building as a solution to sustainable future. Let's start the topic. The topic name is surface investigation or site investigation or subsoil exploration. These are the list of content: site investigation, planning a subsoil exploration program, stages in subsoil exploration, collection of preliminary information, method of soil exploration. First of all, before starting the site investigation or the main topic, we need to understand what is a foundation. Okay, the foundation is the lowest part of the building or structure which is in direct contact with the ground, to which the load are to be transmitted safely. The soil below the base of the foundation is called subsoil and the lowest part of the foundation is called footing, which is in direct contact. The subsoil is called footing. Okay, footing is a foundation consisting of a small slab for transmitting the structural load to the underlying soil. Footing can be individual slabs supporting a single column or combined to support 2 or more columns, or be a long strip concrete slab. Okay, what are the purpose of foundation? The main purpose or the main function of the foundation to distribute the load, the superstructure over a large area, so that the intensity of the load does not exceed the safe bearing capacity of the soil. Next, provide the stability of the structure against sliding and overturning. Next, to minimize or to reduce the differential settlement of the soil. Next, provide safety against undermining. Next, provide level surface over which the superstructure can be built. And next, minimize distress against soil movement. So before starting the site investigation, we need to understand the what is basic definition of site investigation. The process of collecting the soil data for the assessment of engineering properties of soil is known as subsoil exploration and site investigation. Investigation is essential for judging its suitability for the proposed engineering work and for preparing adequate and economic design. Site investigation is equally necessary for analyzing the safety and causes of failure of existing work, for selecting construction material and for deciding upon the construction method to be applied. Okay, the purpose of main site investigation is to obtain necessary information about the soil and hydrological condition at the site to know the engineering properties of soil. Next is purpose of site investigation. The main first purpose is determining the nature of soil at the site and its stratification. Next, selecting the type and depth of foundation suitable for a given structure. If the soil is clay soil, which type of foundation is suitable for which type of soil. Next, evaluating the load bearing capacity of the foundation. Next, estimating the probable settlement of a structure. Next, determining the location of water table, if the water table is above the foundation level or below the foundation level. Next, determining the depth and nature of bedrock. Next, enable the engineers to draw the soil profile indicating the sequence of soil state and the properties of soils involved. Next is depth of exploration program. Next topic. Before doing any kind of construction, we have to investigate the site or soil. Okay, so first, depth of exploration evaluation carried out to a depth up to which increase in pressure due to structural loading is caused respectively settlement or shear failure. Okay, the depth of exploration or a borehole will depend upon the characteristics of the soil as well as the type of the structure and loading condition. As a thumb rule, the depth should be 1.5 times of the width of the footing. In case of weak soil, the pits or boreholes more preferable. Next is spacing. Spacing of exploration depend upon the nature and condition of soil and the size of the project. For small or less building, even one borehole is enough. For a large and multi-story building, number of boreholes will be required and the spacing will be minimum for the important structure. For small structure or less important structure, spacing will be or may be 30 meter to 100 meter. Guidelines for the depth of boring: at least one borehole should be extending to a depth of 1.5 to 2 times the width of the footing. Okay, the borehole should be drilled minimum to a depth beyond which the increase in stress due to foundation loading is not significant. Wherever possible, at least one borehole must be taken down to the level of solid rock. Next, where foundation is taken down to a solid rock, at least one borehole must be drilled 3 meter into the rock. Confirm that it is a bedrock or not, or a larger boulder. The next, the depth of exploration in the range of 4 to 5 meter from airport and the pavement construction. These are the figure for the depth of borehole. You can see in this image, the depth of borehole should be equal to the 1.5 time of the width of the footing. Next is choice of method of subsoil exploration. There are various factors affecting the selection of method of site exploration. First is nature of soil. In case of clay soil, boring are suitable for deep exploration and pits are suitable for shallow exploration. In case of sandy soil, this special equipment is used for taking out the sample if the water table is above the foundation level. Next is topography. In case the site is located in hilly area, the choice between vertical opening and horizontal opening depend upon the topography and geological structure of the substrate. In case of steep slope, inclined boring or drift are more suitable. Next is cost of exploration. From consideration of cost, deep exploration boring are preferred to deep shaft. In case of shallow exploration in soil, the choice between pit and boring will depend upon the nature of the ground and the extent of information required. In case of shallow exploration in rock, the use of core drilling can be justified. Next is method of soil exploration. There are three methods of soil exploration: is direct method, semi-direct method, indirect method. In direct method, there are three subtypes: test pit, trial pit, trenches. Semi-direct method, boring. There are 5 types of boring: auger and shell, wash boring, percussion drilling, rotary drilling. In indirect method, sounding and geophysical method. First is pits and trenches and trial. Test pit and trenches can be used for all types of soil. Soil can be inspected in their natural condition, and the sample may be a disturbed or undisturbed. It will depend upon the sampler. Test pit are normally used for the minor structure, and the main advantage of the test pit is the depth of test pit should be equal to the depth of the foundation where you are placing the foundation, or where you can collect the soil sample and bring the laboratory for the determination of soil properties. Test pit can be used up to a 3 meter depth or for a shallow depth. Next is boring. Drilling a hole into the soil strata up to a specific depth is known as boring. There are 5 method of boring: auger and shell boring, wash boring, percussion drilling, and rotary drilling. Auger boring is suitable for partially saturated sand, silt, and medium to stiff cohesive soil. Okay, there are 2 type of auger: manually and mechanically. Manually operated auger can be used up to 5 meter, and mechanically operated auger can be used up to a 15 meter. Advancement is made by drilling the auger by simultaneously rotating and pressing into the soil. When the auger gets filled with soil sample, it is taken out and the sample collected and tested into the laboratory. In this image you can see different type of auger: post hole auger, helical auger. In right hand side there is a mechanical operated auger, and in left hand side there is a hand operated auger. Next is auger and shell boring. Cylindrical auger and shell with cutting edge on teeth at lower end can be used, making deep boring. Casing is provided in case of weak strata. First the casing is driven and then the auger. Boring ring is used for power driving up to a 5 meter. The main disadvantage of auger and shell boring: when the casing is to be extended, the auger has to be withdrawn, which hinder the quick process of the work. Next is wash boring. Wash boring is important. Wash boring is a fast and simple method for advancing hole in all type of soil except those have large size of boulders and rocks. This method consists in first driving a casing pipe into the soil with help of drop weight. There is a tripod by which a drop weight is applied, by which casing pipe is driven into soil. Hollow drill bit is screwed with hollow drill rod and drill bit attached with the rod and connected to a rope passing over the pulley and supported by tripod. Water jet pressure is forced through the rod and the bit allow the soil become loose, so we have a soil water suspension. Suspension is forced upward and allowed to settle in a tank where the soil particles settle and water overflow, so those soil particles are used for the testing purpose. In this image you can see there is a casing pipe outside and there is a hollow drill rod with attaching a chopping bait. There is a tripod and the suction sump there, you can settling tank there, you can collect the soil sample. There is the actual image of wash boring. Next is percussion drilling. Percussion drilling is also called churn bit, is suspended from a drill rod or a cable, is driven for repeated bore. In this method, soil and rock formation are broken by repeated blows of heavy chisel or bit suspended by a cable or drill rod. Water is added into the hole during boring if not already present, and the slurry or pulverized material is built out at a regular interval. This method is suitable for advancing a hole in all types of soil, boulders and rock. The main disadvantages is cannot be used in loose sand and in slow in plastic clay, and the formation get badly disturbed by the impact of blows of heavy chisel. Next is rotary drilling. Rotary drilling is very fast method of advancing hole in both rock and soil. A drill bit fixed in to the lower end of drill rod and is rotated by a suitable chucks and is always kept in firm contact with the bottom of the hole. Drill mud, usually a water solution without any admixture, is continuously forced down the hollow drill rod and the mud returning upward, bringing the cutting to the surface. The main disadvantage of this rotary drilling is not used in porous deposit, as the consumption of drilling fluid would be high. These are the image of rotary drilling. Next is geophysical method. The stratification of soil and rock can be determined by geophysical method of exploration, which measures changes in certain physical characteristic of these material, for example density, electrical resistivity, etc. Are two methods for a geophysical method: seismic refraction method and electrical resistivity method. Seismic refraction method is based on that fact that the sound waves travel faster in rock compared to the soil, and the velocity of sound wave is different in different media. In this method, the sound waves are generated or created at the ground level at a certain depth by exploding a small charge or by striking a plate on the soil with the hammer. These shock waves travel down in the subsoil strata and refracted after striking a hard strata. Then the refracted or radiate shock waves are picked up by a geophone or vibration detector, which may record the travel time of the shock wave. By knowing the travel time of the primary and refractive weight at various geophones, the time and distance graph are drawn at, and the depth of various strata can be determined by a various characteristic like seismic velocity, etc. Materials such as clay, gravel, soft, hard rock and are identified. You can see in this image there are detectors or geophone. There is an energy source where you can create a sound wave by exploding a small charge or by striking a plate by the hammer. Then these waves are traveled through a different strata and recorded by the detector, and after you can calculate the time and distance. Next is electrical resistivity method is based on that fact that a different soil has a different electrical resistivity and different water content and different compaction and composition. The saturated soil has lower resistivity comparison to loose dry soil or dry gravel. Okay. In this method, we need 4 numbers of metal spikes serving as an electrode and driven into the ground at an equal distance in a straight line. The distance between 2 electrodes may be equal to the depth of exploration or depth up to which the ground resistance is to be measured. Then current is passed between 2 outer electrodes and the potential drop is measured between the inner electrode using potentiometer. Each soil has its own resistivity depending upon water content, compaction and composition. Next is soil sampling and types of sample. A soil sample is the representative of the whole lot from which it is taken, and it is completely represent all the characteristic of the lot from which it is referred. The process of obtaining soil sample from the desired depth at a desired location in natural deposit to assess the engineering properties of soil is called sampling, and the device used for obtaining the soil sample is known as soil sampler. There are 2 types of samples of soil. First is disturbed soil sample and undisturbed sample. In disturbed sample, if the natural properties of the soil partially and fully destroyed or damaged is known as disturbed sample. In undisturbed sample, natural structure of the soil and the properties remain preserved. There are three types of soil sample: open drive sampler, stationary sampler, and rotatory sampler. In open drive sampler, there are two types: split spoon sampler and Shelby tube sampler. Open drive sampler is open at lower end, and the sample as is provided with valve to permit water and air to escape during driving. Stationary piston sample consists of simple cylinder and the piston system, and rotary sampler are the core barrel type having an outer tube provided with cutting teeth and removable thin wall inner side. These sample is not this theory of the sampler is not provided in your course content, so that's why I'm not going to telling you deep, so that I'm not going give you a deep description about the sampler. Next topic is bearing capacity of soil and the basic definition. So first of all, what is bearing capacity of soil? The maximum load per unit area which the soil can carry without any failure is known as bearing capacity of soil. Next is ultimate bearing capacity of soil. The intensity of loading at a base or the foundation which would cause shear failure of the soil support. Next is safe bearing capacity, maximum intensity of loading that the foundation will safely carry without the risk of shear failure or without any settlement. Safe bearing pressure or net soil pressure, the intensity of loading that will causes a permissible settlement or specific settlement of the structure. Next is allowable bearing capacity, the net intensity of loading which the foundation will carry without undergoing settlement in excess or the permissible value for the structure under consideration but not exceeding net safe bearing capacity. Method for determining bear capacity. There are three methods for determining bearing capacity: plate load test, penetration test, and safe value given in IS code. In IS code value already given the values, you can collect the safe bearing capacity of the soil according to the type of soil. So first method is standard penetration test. Standard penetration test is performed in clean hole. The diameter may be 15 to 150 mm. A crazing or drilling mud is used to support the sides of the hole. Standard penetration is normally used for cohesion-less soil to determine relative density and angle of shear resistance. First, initially we have to create a borehole using drilling tool and a hammer of weight from the certain height at the rate of 30 blows per minute. After reaching the specific depth, the drilling tool is replaced by split spoon sampler to collect the soil sample. First 150 mm penetration is taken as sitting drive and the number of blows required for the penetration is discarded. How much number of blows is required for the next 300 mm penetration after sitting drive is taken as standard penetration number. If the number of blows is greater than the 50s that are taken as refusal as the test is discontinued. Correction are applied also. These are the image of the standard penetration test. Next is plate load test. Plate load test is the field test to determining the bearing capacity of the soil and the differential settlement into the soil at the foundation sample. This test involves preparing a test bed by the desired foundation level. First we have to create a test pit up to the foundation level. The width of the test pit is 5 times of the width of the foundation. Okay, and the plate is placed at the foundation level. The size of the plate is 30 mm 300 mm to 750 mm, and the thickness of this plate should be 25 mm. There you can see the image of the plate load test. First you have to create the test pit. The size of the test pit is equal to the 5 times of the width. Then the test pit is placed at the base, the test pit is placed at the depth of the foundation. Then load is applied by, the load may be a gravity loading and truss loading. Okay, in gravity loading, the platform is constructed over the column placed on the test plate, and the test load is applied by placing the sandbag, concrete, iron rod and different type of material. A hydraulic jack is placed between the loading platform and the column top for applying the load to the test plate. This form of loading is termed as reaction loading, and after applying the loading, the settlement of the soil should be recorded in dial gauge. After incrementing of load, the settlement should be recorded after the interval of 1, 4, 10, 20, 40 and 60 minutes, and thereafter an hourly interval until the rate of settlement become less than 0.02 mm per hour. The maximum load to be applied is 1/2 time the ultimate load and 3 times the proposed allowable bearing pressure. There is a load settlement curve. There are 3 type of curve. Curve 1, you can see the curve 1 for a dense sand or gravel or a stiff clay, wherein general shear failures occur. In curve 2, loose sand for soft clay, where local shear failure occur. In curve 3 is a typical for many cohesion and frictional soil, which exhibit characteristic intermediate between the above two. These are the equation for determining the settlement of the foundation. This equation is only applicable for sandy soil. Next is limitation of plate load test. The first limitation is size effect are very important. So size effect, the result of the plate load test reflect the strength and the settlement characteristic of the soil within the pressure well. As the pressure wells depend upon the size of the loading area, it is much deeper for the actual foundation as compared to the plate. The plate load test does not truly represent the actual condition. Next is consolidation settlement in cohesive soil may takes year. We cannot predict the settlement in cohesive soil. Next is result from plate load test are not recommended to be used for the design of strip footing. Next, the load test result reflect the characteristic of the soil located only within the depth or about twice the width of the plate. Thus, it may be seen that interpretation and use of the plate load test result require greater care and judgment on the part of the foundation engineer. Next is improving soil bearing capacity of soil. Sometimes the safe bearing pressure of soil is so low that the dimension of the footing work out to be very large and uneconomical. In such cases, it becomes essential to improve the safe bearing pressure, which can be done by the following method. First, to increasing the depth of foundation. Next, compacting the soil and draining the soil. Next, confining the soil. Next, grouting. Next, chemical treatment. First method is increasing the depth of foundation. At deeper depth, the overburden pressure on soil is higher, and hence the soil is more compacted at deeper depth. As a result, it shows higher bearing capacity of soil. This is applicable only for a cohesionless soil, means sandy soil. This method is not applicable for a cohesion, cohesive soil like clay soil. This method is not applicable if the subsoil material grow wetter as depth increasing. This method has a limited use because with increase in depth the weight and cost of foundation is also increased. Next is compacting of soil. The compaction of natural soil deposit or man-made field result in the improvement of bearing capacity and reduction in settlement. There are many methods for the or we can many ways we can compact the soil. First, compacting by surcharge load. The ground can be surcharged with heavy load from aggregate and other material to speed up the settlement and improve bearing capacity of soil. Using sand pile. This method is very useful in for only for sandy or soft soil. Hollow pipes are driven. First, hollow pipes are driven into the ground at close interval. Then the sand and other material is filled in the hollow ground. The result in the compaction of soil enclosed between the adjacent pipe. These pipes are then gradually removed, filling and draining sand in the hole, resulting in the formation of sand pile. Next is vibration. Heavy vibrators, rollers, and compactors may compact a layer of soil up to a 3 meter using an appropriate roller. Next is vibroflotation. It is commercial method which combines the effect of vibration and jetting. A heavy cylinder known as vibrofloat is inserted into the soil while the cylinder vibrates due to rotary eccentric weight, and water jet on the tip of the vibrofloat supplies a large amount of water under pressure, and as the vibrofloat sinks, clean sand is added in through the carter that develops on the surface. This method is useful when the foundation is required to support heavy load spread over a greater area. Then draining the soil. It is well known fact that the presence of water decreases the bearing capacity of soil, especially when it is saturated. Reason for its low shearing strength of soil in presence of excess water. The subsoil water is collected and drained out by laying the drains in trenches at the foundation base, which may decrease the void ratio and improve the bearing capacity of soil. Next is confining the soil. In case of shallow foundation in sandy soil, the safe bearing pressure of soil is low because of settlement due to a lateral movement of soil. Such lateral movement of soil can be prevented by confining the soil in an enclosed area with the help of sheet piles. Next is grouting. In case of loose gravel, borehole in sufficient number are driven in ground and cement grout is forced into the holes under pressure. The cracks, void and fissure are thus filled with the grout, which may increase the bearing capacity of soil. Next is chemical treatment. This method of improving bearing capacity of soil is costly and applied in exceptional cases. In this method, chemical solution like silicates of soda and calcium chloride is injected with pressure into the soil, and these chemicals along with soil particles form a gel-like structure and develop a compact mass. This is called chemical stabilization of soil, used to give additional strength to soft soil at deeper depths. Thank you for the listening.